welcome to our latest series, formerly known as SSB Pit Mob, where we dive into the world of Backyard BBQ Titans, those everyday heroes who turn their backyards into sizzling arenas of flavor and fun. We're not talking about celebrity chefs or culinary wizards here. We're shining the spotlight on regular folks, your neighbors, friends, maybe even you, who have mastered the art of grilling and smoking right in their own backyards. In this series, we'll chat with some amazing everyday guys and gals who bring passion, creativity, and a whole lot of heart to the barbecue game. Whether they're flipping burgers for a weekend gathering, slow cooking ribs for the family, or experimenting with the latest grilling gadgets, these backyard barbecue enthusiasts have stories that are rich as their secret rib rubs. So grab a cold drink, settle into your favorite chair, and get ready to hear about those moments that make barbecue more than just a meal. Like laughter shared over a smoky grill, the triumph of nailing that perfect brisket, and the joy of creating unforgettable memories with friends and family. Trust us, you'll leave inspired to fire up your grill and maybe even try out a few of their tips and tricks along the way. So let's smoke on. Welcome to the next episode of Super Smoke Bros, and we are diving into our Backyard BBQ Titans. One of my favorite episodes because it's why we started this podcast. The fact that we just meet with people who love the barbecue, that we do in our backyards, and we always learn tips and tricks and all those things. And today we welcome a gentleman that has become a friend of mine. We love talking barbecue. I think we still need the showdown between you and Berlin with your ribs, all right? But Dave Huibregtse, he is a lead position here in the Sheboygan Area School District. And we share the same passion of barbecue. So, Dave, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, to our episode here of Super Smoke Bros. So, like we do at Backyard BBQ Titans, it can go any way. We have a set of questions. Doesn't mean we need to follow that set, though.
Awesome.
However way you want to go. So, Dave, this is ultimately one of my favorite questions is to hear people's stories. So, everyone has their story, Dave. Please share your story into the world of barbecue and smoking meats.
Awesome. Thank you. I'd like to start out by this is a great honor. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You guys, it's been a joyful ride to listen to you guys and watch your episodes. So I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
So my story, I consider myself, I'm the grandpa of the group. Yeah. I would think compared to you guys, you young guys with your young families, but my story probably started in the late 90s, early 2000s. I traded a old hand ice auger for a small Brinkmann stick burner.
Awesome.
Is how I started. Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
There wasn't YouTube videos back then. It was like get some wood from somebody and throw it in there and start cooking. And that's what I did, and I had several epic fails because I really had no idea. I didn't know how to control temperature.
Yep.
That's how I started, and then I ended up trading that for another piece of ice fishing gear later, and really probably stuck, 10, 15 years into just a charcoal grill. Mm-hmm. And then I was down in Iowa by my son, had moved down to Iowa for his job, and his roommate had a Green Mountain grill.
Oh, yeah.
And just one weekend, we declared we're going to have a meat fest. We went to the local store, we bought a bunch of meat, and we just started smoking stuff on that thing.
I love it.
And I just fell in love with that thing. Mm-hmm. And the year later, my kids and my wife got me one for Father's Day.
Nice.
So that's when it really blossomed for me, and this was probably 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I've spent a lot of time dabbling with that pellet grill.
Yeah.
I really like it. It's easy.
It is, yes.
You can experiment with the different woods.
Yep.
So yeah, that's really, I'm a weekend warrior.
Yep.
Any chance we're not busy, I look at my wife and I'm like, hey, what's going on this weekend? And I'm going to smoke something if I have time. So, and we've discussed that in the hallways.
Oh yeah, for sure. I love that Green Mountain. I think that's a local Wisconsin-based company too, which is awesome. And I could be wrong on that, so I'm sure if I am wrong, my viewers will let me know, our listeners. But I was around the same time frame. It seems like, I like how you were dabbling with that stick burner because that is definitely I've been dabbling on it. I'm starting to lean towards more because I'm getting to know how to use it efficiently.
Yeah.
And so, but I think, and we had today's episode with Leanne Whippen dropped today. Actually tomorrow. So Leanne Whippen drops tomorrow, and she talked about, she's a Pit Boss ambassador,
Yep.
and she's a purist. But she talked about there's a place in the barbecue world for pellet smokers,
Yep.
and really it gets people involved, makes them appreciate it, and it seems like you and I have the same, and a lot of people out there. It's a good start, and there's always ways you can dabble with it. Like I use a smoke tube in mine now,
Yep.
get more bark and all those things, and it's just it's great to make good barbecue with. It really is.
It is.
And you even see it on the circuit even more too now.
Correct.
So
I really like the idea of going back to a stick burner myself
Yeah.
at some point. I've dabbled in. I started dabbling in like venison sausage.
Oh,
And it's hard to do on a pellet grill.
Yeah, mhm.
I've fabricated a hanging system with
Yeah.
the space I have, and it works. But if you could get it like a vertical stick burner,
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
that would be, yeah. And so I seen through it now. There's nothing like that stick smoke though,
Yeah.
And but you do see the vertical rounds pellet now. They're making them too as well,
Correct.
so you can hang and make more sausages
Sure.
with that easier controlled temperature.
Yeah.
So and kind of moving on into our next one here. I think I know this one. I could be wrong though. What is your favorite food to barbecue or smoke? And
What's your
why?
guess?
Ribs.
Absolutely.
So,
It is. And it's really kind of twofold for me.
Mm-hmm.
One, I like ribs. The other part is, and sorry, dear, if you listen to this, but my wife is not a huge meat lover.
Mm-hmm.
Not like Mr. Yago's wife, that I
Yeah.
believe she was a vegetarian.
she was,
literally.
yes, yep,
She's just a burger and a chicken gal.
yeah.
But when I make these baby back ribs, that's something she eats and she really likes them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a go-to for me
Good,
because I know that she'll eat that. And it's just the two of us now, and our kids have moved out. So, I love making ribs.
Yeah, and that's two of my daughters love ribs, and I struggle with it. I always in my previous podcast talked about it's kind of my Achilles heel. They're either really good for me or I mess them up, and I do, and it happens, and I don't, I study and I take diligent notes. But man, ribs can be super tricky. Do you have any tips or tricks that you use, methods you use? Or?
So I started doing the 3-2-1 method.
Yeah.
I know that's.
I think everyone has,
There's
yeah.
that's debatable.
Yeah,
It's easy to get fall off the bone, but fall off the bone necessarily if you're doing a competition.
It's not
rib,
what you want.
It's not what you want. So I will be honest. I struggle with the competition
Yeah.
style because there's a fine line there, but I think the cut too makes
Yeah.
a difference.
I do too,
I mean,
yeah.
I've tried spare ribs. I've tried St. Louis style, but I always go back to baby back.
So do I, yeah.
And I just feel like I get more consistency out of them.
Yeah.
One thing I'm going to try soon is they call them the party ribs, where I
Yes.
cut them ahead of
Yeah.
time. I haven't tried that yet.
Yes.
I want to try that, but I don't know that I have a secret.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I just got it down to my process is
Yeah.
consistent now.
Yeah, I think
kind of
that
know what I
consistency,
do.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's tough, and party ribs are great. So we have a dilemma in my house. So all my family loves ribs. Even my 3 daughters, they're young, they love ribs. But I have 2 that my wife's included, and one of my daughters. They love the spare ribs, St. Louis style. That's what they love. My other 2 daughters and I love baby back, so I'm always doing
Yeah.
2 type. And then 2 of my daughters like party rib style, but one St. Louis. So I make my rib
Yeah.
process a little bit different, but I'm just happy
Yeah.
they eat those. But party ribs, Tina Cannon has a great video out there, and I
Okay.
used her method. And I was making them, and I was texting her back and forth, shooting pictures, and then she said she gave me a great hint to caramelize them on the gas, if you have a gas grill or charcoal grill at the end, but put them in a bowl and you do hot wings and sauce them, then put them on there. You have less waste, and then you get a little more caramelization. So I do that every time now.
Yeah, I do put the last 30 minutes to hour I put sauce on.
Yeah.
And that works well.
Yeah.
But I do struggle with the spare rib.
Yeah,
That
so do
is
I.
an Achilles heel for me.
Yeah, I think it is, it's not as much meat, and so less forgiving.
Yeah.
And so you got to really have those dialed in, and
Yep.
it's it's a struggle, but
But
that's
fun.
part. It's fun to do it though.
to
Fun to
try.
do it, and like you, I've ruined many before. So, Dave, I think you've kind of went through this one with your explanation, but with the grills and smokers you've had, is there a favorite one that you have or that you've had?
So I currently have a char griller by Acorn. Mm-hmm. I guess you could kind of call it a knockoff of a Green Mountain grill.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay.
I can just do regular charcoal grill. I can
nice.
use it as a smoker.
Oh.
I had that before I had the Green Mountain grill, and I'm on my second one now.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I just had leftover wings for lunch that I did on there over
nice.
the weekend.
That's awesome.
They're really
That's
good. But that is my favorite piece. So I have that, the Green Mountain grill, and then I have a Blackstone, which is obviously becoming more popular.
Yeah.
I mean, not so much in barbecue, but it adds another dimension.
It does.
But I really like that char griller, the Acorn grill. It's kind of that egg shape, and it seals nice, and it's really easy to control the temperature on there.
Yes, that's what I've read. That's the one thing. So is it ceramic inside then?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. And that's like I've been looking at ceramics and grills, but I don't even bring it up to my wife because she's like, well, you have to get rid of one of your smokers you have already, which I have 3 in my backyard right now, plus my gas grill, and plus the insert for the Blackstone for my gas grill. So I'm like, okay, I won't. But I just hear great things about those.
Yeah, I really do enjoy doing. We do numerous things on there, from fish to tenderloin to anything you can do on the smoker you can do on there.
Yes, no doubt.
So yeah, I have a lot of fun with that one.
Yeah. So you alluded to this next one, Dave. It's one of my favorite ones. Questions here is because we all have them. And you said that you've had many failures, just like we all have, because that's what barbecue's about, is learning from them. But can you recall a time when a food you smoked did not turn out, and explain maybe how you adjusted next time or how you did things differently?
So you're probably going to laugh at this one, and those that listen will probably laugh, but I struggle with burnt ends. I cannot, and I've tried. So you read a lot about the different versions of poor man's burnt ends, whether it's hot dogs or.
Yeah.
The most recent one I did was just before the Super Bowl. I dabbled because we were having a Super Bowl party, and I thought if this works out, I'm going to try this. I bought a chuck roast. Yeah. And tried it with that. Well, it was like eating shoe leather. I could not. I watched videos. I watched, listened to podcasts. They turned out like shoe leather, and I just could not get them tender. So I haven't gone back. That's been my most epic fail. And I even tried it with hot dogs, and my wife's like, well, these just taste like hot dogs with barbecue sauce on them. You could have done that in the microwave.
Thanks, honey. Appreciate it.
So burnt ends have been I just seem to fail at them. So I'm going to keep playing with them, different cuts of meat.
I found, burnt ends are a tough one. And, I tend to go, my family loves the poor man's, and it's a lot of times if I'm at burnt ends, I got to make sure I smoke them long enough.
Yeah. And
smoke them long enough and put them in the sauce long enough to really caramelize. And also, break that fat down too in that sauce. And I messed a few up. I have too.
What's your cut of meat what's your go-to?
Use a chuck. I like the chuck roast.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, my favorite is brisket. Brisket tip. But when I do a brisket, I don't like to use the tip. I want to cut that. I want to see that moisture come out of it. I love that tip. So I usually go to the chuck roast. Now I like hot dog burnt ends. I did those too as well. I kind of agree that if you don't let it, you gotta. I find that with hot dogs that do a little lower temperature to get more smoke into it. And then you start getting the smoky flavor in, but then it depends kind of what your sauce is too as well. So, and I always doctor up and throw other things in there. Start with a base and whatever barbecue sauce I have in the house, and then I add brown sugar. I'll add honey. I'll add certain spices to it and stuff. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. I just do it, and try to figure it out.
And then it works, and then you forget the next time.
Yep, that's why I usually write everything down. I have my little black recipe book, but.
I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
I dabble, and then it's really good, and I was like, ooh, I got to go back and check on that. But
I was looking for a recipe for someone, my brother-in-law, and he wanted my queso recipe, and I've altered it so many times that I couldn't find the one that I used last time. So I added this and this to it. So, but anyway.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. What is some advice that you would love to give to our listeners that you wished you would have known when you started this journey of barbecue?
Oh, what we're doing right now, network. Network with the other people that have spent time in their backyards, or the people that are doing the shows or the podcasts. I think it's so invaluable. Mm-hmm. And if you got any question, you can jump on YouTube or go to the local festival or whatever and talk.
Yeah,
it's an awesome experience to network with people.
Yeah, it is. And that's the biggest thing I've gained from this whole experience, as you and I were talking before we started recording, is just the network of people you meet. And I would say 98% of the people you meet in the barbecue world are just like genuine people, everyday folk. And everyone I've met that I've interviewed have just been awesome. They would sit down with you and I right now and just talk barbecue.
Absolutely.
And share everything they have. And so I agree with you there.
Even your most competitive guys are still willing to share their story and their secrets, and I think it's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. Reaching out, and I wish I would have started that a little bit sooner.
Yep, me too.
But once I did, it's just like now anybody I'll talk barbecue all day with, and if I run into somebody that talks barbecue with me in like at Meyer or something, my daughters know it's going to be a while. And they're like, "Oh, Dad, again. Here we go." But that's such good advice, Dave. Such good advice. Is there a favorite tool or item that you recommend to our listeners that has made your backyard barbecue easier?
For me, I think and I know there's different versions of this, but I have the meter probe.
Yeah.
I got it as a gift for Christmas a couple years ago. And I think that's the consistency with that temperature on those just seems to be better than what I got on my grill. And I think that's helped tremendously. Yeah. It's probably the biggest one for me that comes to mind right away.
Yeah, that was a great purchase for me too, as well as a thermometer. And there's so many different types out there. I do like, and I haven't dabbled yet, getting a meter or ThermoPro or something. I just haven't. I have the ones that are connected, that are wired still. Yep. Inkbirds I have, and which do the job just fine. But that, not having the cords run out is kind of nice.
It is nice.
A lot easier to clean up. And I do love. Does yours have the ambient temperature? So it takes the ambient. That's what I need.
It does, and it's amazing how different that can be.
Yeah, I know.
Especially depending on weather and whether you got a blanket, and it all makes a difference.
It does, and that's why, like, I was up north, and I wish I would have had. So I used one probe and hung it in there, just because I had the old stick burner, giant 6-footer. And the ambient temperature that helped a lot, because then I had more fuel to the fire, and then I ran into a problem where it wasn't windy enough, it wasn't getting the circulation I needed, and that was all because of that ambient temperature.
Absolutely.
So that's a great point, and it's definitely worth the investment.
It is.
It costs a few bucks, but it's so worth it when you're cooking. I agree with you, yeah. So what is what's your temperature for low and slow?
So it depends what I'm doing. I've done a lot of smoked fish. I've dabbled in a brine that seems to have worked really well, and I've backed off a little bit, but I used to do a ton of smoked fish for people. It's like it kind of became known in our friend group, and people were catching fish and knocking on my door, and I was doing a lot of fish. That's about 185.
Okay.
And kind of like when I'm doing my ribs and some of the other cuts, it's usually about 225 for low and slow.
Yep.
Them seem to be my sweet spots.
Yeah. It's interesting because everyone has their different sweet spot. It's that's why I always ask, and I'm finding anywhere from 225 to 275, somewhere in that range. Everyone's sweet spot, because I think you get so used to that temperature, how long it takes, how it cooks, and stuff like that.
And if it takes a little longer, it's okay sometimes.
It is okay. That's one thing about barbecue is you think you know what's going to be done, but you never do. Barbecue does its own thing, Do you have any advice, like like say your acorn to maintain that temperature? Is there any tricks that you use or anything, or?
It really is. It can be placement of the fuel, whether it's charcoal or wood, and then there's upper vent, lower vent, and them are numbered on that.
Okay.
So I've kind of got it down to where one could be on 4, bottom one can be on 2, top could be on 5.
Nice. That helps a lot. Yeah.
Wind plays a difference, but that's where you really play with them numbers, and that's where I've done some mental notes and stuff on certain things where I'll know that if I have this one on 2 and that one on 4, that usually controls it really well.
Yeah, that's a good, like I have a small Weber Smoky Mountain, and it's not the ceramics, but similar, bullet shaped. And just knowing that, my bottom, if I have it on 2, then I need to have it on 3 up top or whatever. You find those little things and keep track of those numbers,
And all them grill types, I mean, whether it's a Weber or any of these, they seem to always have a side or a spot that tends to burn hotter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right. It does. Even in the pellet grills.
Yep,
in
absolutely.
Pellet grills. And I try to stay away from the firebox and the pellet grill as much as I can because it goes a little bit slower and stuff.
You got to build a relationship with that grill.
Yes, you do. You do. Mine has Mine I have quite the relationship with my grill. What is now? This is a different answer because you may not have one for this one, but I always ask this because usually barbecue enthusiasts like you and I and people out there, when we travel, we try to hit some barbecue spots. Is there anything that you've been out there or you've maybe even witnessed around the area of any barbecue spots that you're like, you got to go to this one, or if I'm here again, I'm going there?
So we were in Kansas City 2 years ago for a NASCAR race.
Nice.
And my daughter and my wife and my daughter-in-law went to a Kansas City barbecue place while we were at the race, and I missed it.
Oh, wow.
And they raved about it.
Yeah.
So I need to go back.
Yeah.
And I need to experience that.
Yeah.
That's one place. And I think the other thing for me, and I haven't been there, is Texas barbecue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I need to go down to Texas
Yeah.
and experience. I love heavy smoke, mesquite type barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to go there. That's definitely on the barbecue bucket list for me.
Yeah, that's definitely. I've been to Texas, but I haven't been to my bucket list. My ultimate is Snow's Barbecue, Miss Tootsie, the legendary queen of Texas barbecue, and I want to get down the Snows and experience that down there. That's I had never been there, and I'm going to. One of these days, I might just fly down there and go. And just give it a shot.
If you need company, let me know.
I will. Maybe a quick trip. Quick trip. Just to witness, to be out there at 8 a.m. in that line, and just be part of that. Get a picture with Miss Tootsie and all those things. And Smoke Bros are. We got invited to Al Fragoni's in San Antonio, his meetup, to kind of do like what we're going to be doing up at the Rest Center in Green Bay here. And so that's in October. I think we're going to do it. So maybe might swing there, but it's the middle of football season too. So we'll see what happens. But that's they want.
That's exciting.
Invite us to podcast there. So that might be my first opportunity. So and a lot of those barbecue pit masters from Texas will be at Al Fragoni's.
Okay.
So at his meetup. So
awesome.
It's like $20 for a ticket and all you can eat all day. It's nuts.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So. We'll see what happens. But I agree with you. Texas is one of those places that I barbecue. I love how different regions have different barbecue, and I never been in Kansas City and had that barbecue, so I really want to try that too. So, all right, Dave, we're gonna move on to our sizzle round, and I found out from acquaintance that this is like one of the favorite parts of the episodes because it's. All barbecuers can relate to it. And I didn't really think about it. We just did it for something fun, So, but this sizzle round can go as long as we want, as short as you want.
Okay.
It all depends on what you want to explain.
Awesome.
So I'll just rattle off a few questions and your first answer, or you may have more than one answer too. That's okay. It's your show, and whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. So,
sounds good.
All right. So our favorite our first sizzle round is. Favorite cut of meat to smoke, which I probably already know.
Baby back ribs.
Yep. Your go-to rub for barbecue.
Famous Dave's rib rub.
Oh yeah, that's solid.
I always go back to it. I've tried others, but for some reason, that's my go-to.
Yeah, I have those two where I've tried them all, but I always go to these certain ones all the time.
What's yours? I'm just curious.
For ribs, it's Suckle Busters. It's the honey barbecue rub for ribs. That's my pork. That's my go-to. And then I kind of make a concoction of a Texas style for my briskets and my beef and stuff like that. So we're thinking about, Mr. Burl and I are thinking about putting a couple of mine together, a couple of his together, and maybe start selling.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know if that'll happen or not. So I know what comes with that from the Tailgate foodie who we interviewed, and I don't know if I want to go down that road. I just like doing this.
Right.
So your best side dish that you prepare on or off the smoker?
Mac and cheese. I love mac and cheese, and then you add smoke to it.
Mm-hmm.
Or you put a little of your pulled pork in it,
Yeah.
and then smoke it again.
Yeah, there's so many ways to do mac and cheese on that smoker, and it's so good.
It's so good.
Oh, it's so good. Yes, yes. Favorite barbecue sauce?
Kinder's Gold.
Ooh, yeah. So Gold Barbecue. Yeah, that's a Mr. Brian Berlin. He loves Gold Barbecue sauce. I
do
love
too.
it too. Good Gold you can't go wrong with the good Gold sauce. Now, your preferred fuel to smoke with?
So as I mentioned earlier, I like heavy smoke, so I do use a lot of mesquite, especially if I'm doing fish or beef.
Okay.
If it's more on the pork side, it's probably hickory.
Yeah.
But I still like more smoke, so them are probably my two go-tos.
Okay.
I do have some fruit wood, but I don't
Yeah.
use it that often.
Okay.
I've kind of gravitated away from those.
And I think I stick around the charcoal and fruit wood, or a combination of both, because my family doesn't like heavy smoke. Doesn't like the heavy smoke flavor. So if I want them to eat it, I gotta make sure I eat.
Well, and that makes total sense.
And softer smoke, as Miss Leanne Whitman
Yep.
called it, soft smoke. I'm like, that's a great way to put it.
It is.
Hard smoke, soft smoke. So I go a little more. So awesome. I'm always curious. Brian Peterson, he was one of the other super smoke bros. He loves mesquite. So you gotta talk to him.
Yeah, I do
Everything's
too.
mesquite. Everything is mesquite. So, do you have a favorite beverage that you like to have during smoking time, adult or non-adult?
I absolutely do. It depends on the time of the year.
Yeah.
If it's summer patio, when I'm Daddio of the patio,
Yeah.
as my kids got my apron,
I love that.
it's vodka lemonade.
Oh yeah, smooth. Yeah.
And if it's any other time of the year, it's a Frisky, which is whiskey and Fresca.
Nice.
Are my two go-tos.
I like that name, Frisky, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's so interesting to see the variety, and so it's
Sure.
cool. And do you have any music, a streaming station, radio station, or anything you like to listen to while you're out there on the Daddio or the patio?
80s rock.
Nice,
80s
awesome.
rock or some Jimmy Buffett.
Oh, you can't go wrong with Jimmy
Puts me in
Buffett.
my happy place.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, so, well, Dave, that's the end of our interview. Is there anything else you want to bring up, talk about, anything here in the barbecue world?
I don't know. I think I'm good, but keep on smoking, man. This is
Yeah.
awesome. Keep this up. I love it.
Yeah, we are. It's we're actually having our first business meeting because it's like, oh, I guess we got to go there. It wasn't something, but it's fun and things like that. So, Dave, we always end our episodes. You know how we always end it with smoke on. So if you won't mind ending our episode today with a little smoke on.
Smoke on.